I trained the guys who later replaced me, and after 2 months I was left without a job because I was too expensive for the management. They told us nothing would change when the shop got sold. Business as usual, the new guy said, all smiles and handshakes. He even brought donuts the first Monday, walking around like he was one of us. Said all the right things, no layoffs, no shakeups, just improvements. We didn't believe him, but we wanted to. The old owner was tough, yeah, but he gave a damn. He knew our names, our families. When you worked late, he'd grab dinner for the crew. The new guy? He wore sneakers too clean to trust. I've been a mechanic for over 20 years. Motors are my thing. Especially rebuilds, I'm a freak for them. Crate blocks, vintage imports, you name it. I don't care if it's a Ford the 5th 8 or an SR20, I'll tear it down and build it back with my eyes closed and a coffee in my hand. That's why, when they hired 3 fresh techs, guess who they had train them? Me. They were green, sure, but eager. I showed them how to listen to a bad camshaft before even cracking the hood. Made them hold tools the right way, feel torque, not just measure it. One of them, Derek, even said I should teach full-time. You make this stuff click, he told me, grinning with grease on his chin. That meant a lot. Because teaching someone who wants to learn? That's the best kind of respect. I never complained. Came in early. Stayed late. Even covered shifts when the weekend guys flaked. I figured I'd put in my time, keep my head down, and maybe, just maybe, when the old manager retired I'd get that spot. Not because I kissed ass, but because I earned it. But then came the first weird meeting. We're trying a new structure, they said. More streamlined. Less top-heavy. And suddenly Derek, my trainee, was getting more front desk time. More clipboard jobs. Management-adjacent stuff. I didn't say anything. Thought maybe they were just rotating him around. But then came the incident. A misdiagnosed timing belt job that I didn't even touch. I walked in the middle of the repair, double-checked the numbers, even left notes. But guess who got called in for a chat when the customer came back furious? Me. Mike, we've got to talk about accountability. My jaw clenched so hard I thought I'd crack a molar. But I took it. Then it happened again. And again. Little things. Paperwork misplaced. A set of tires ordered wrong. And somehow, every single time, my name came up. I asked one of the office girls, off the record, what was going on. She looked away, lowered her voice, and said, "They're looking to make changes." Quiet once. I should have walked out then. But I didn't. I gave them 2 more weeks of flawless work. Because that's who I am. Because when you've built your name on clean builds and honest hours, you don't start cutting corners just because they do. But I saw it coming. The way Derek kept asking fewer questions. The way he smiled a little too smug when the owner walked by. I wasn't training coworkers anymore. I was training my replacements. And I was too damn tired to fight it. They called me into the office on a gray-ass Wednesday, the kind of morning that already felt off the second I stepped out of my truck. No heads up, no warning, just a, "Hey Mike, can you step in for a second?" from the front desk girl who couldn't even look me in the eye. The new guy was there, Dale the spreadsheet, as I called him, sitting behind the manager's desk like he owned the damn place. He'd only been here for 6 months? Took over after Mr. Beckett sold the shop to some investors who promised not to change anything. Yeah, well, here we are. Mike, Dale started, all fake sincere, tapping a manila folder with my name on it. We've been reviewing labor costs, performance metrics, and department redundancies. He paused like he expected me to be impressed by the big words. I just crossed my arms. And? He cleared his throat. You're one of our highest paid employees. We've hired a younger team under you, and with some of the newer systems in place, well, we feel your role has become less essential. So I'm too good, too experienced, and too expensive. That it? I asked, keeping my tone steady even though my chest felt like it was cracking open. He smiled like a weasel. It's not personal, Mike. You've been great. You've trained most of the current techs. You'll get a great reference, yeah. I cut him off. You want me gone, but you want me to finish your job first. Got it. He opened his mouth to say something else, but I was already standing. I'll finish the 2 weeks. Clean. Don't worry. Because I'm not like them. I'm not the kind of guy who flips out and burns the place down on his way out. I'm the guy who puts his name on his tools and earns respect by showing up early and staying late. So that's what I did. For 2 more goddamn weeks I trained the new guys. Showed them how to torque in sequence, how to listen to an engine like it's telling you a secret. One kid, Matt, asked me if I was pissed. I just laughed. I'm disappointed, I said. That's worse. On my last day, I packed my toolbox like it was a ritual. Each socket, each wrench, cleaned and locked. The shop was quiet. No party, no cake, no handshake from Dale. Just silence. I loaded up my truck alone. But as I slammed the tailgate shut, I heard someone call my name. It was Ricky, one of the youngest techs. Barely 20. Eyes full of guilt. Mike, they're not you. You know that, right? I nodded. Yeah, kid. I know. I drove home in silence. Parked. Stared at the half-built '85 Camaro under the tarp in my backyard. I'd been saving it for weekends for someday. Well, someday was now. I grabbed my socket wrench and peeled back the tarp. That engine block was gonna hear everything I didn't say to Dale. I worked until my knuckles bled and my shoulders ached. I didn't have a plan. But I still had my hands. I still had my name. And no one was gonna take that from me. For 2 months, I barely spoke to anyone who didn't hand me a part or ask for a tool. No schedule, no alarms, no foreman breathing down my neck. Just me, my garage, and that engine. I rebuilt it piece by piece, not just for the hell of it, but because I needed to feel something click again, even if it was just a piston in a block. People kept telling me I should take a real break, go fishing or some crap, but they didn't get it. That Camaro was therapy. It was focus. And one weekend I finally fired it up. The engine roared like it had been waiting for its second life too. I took it out that same night, just for a spin down the old highway past Fairview, open stretch, no traffic. I was halfway through the run when I pulled into this small gas station, just for a drink, and that's where I met Logan. Logan was in his 50s, sleeves rolled, arms inked, a guy who looked like he'd lived 10 lives and had the grease stains to prove it. He walked out when he heard the motor and gave that long, slow nod only real gearheads give. That a 402 under the hood? He asked. Push to 430. I replied, and just like that, we started talking. For hours. Turned out he ran a custom auto shop 2 towns over, performance upgrades, vintage rebuilds, real work, not the chain store BS. He said they were looking to expand, needed someone to run the engine side of things. I laughed. I've been out of the game for 2 months. He just grinned. You didn't leave the game. You got kicked off the wrong team. We swapped numbers. He came by my place a week later to see the rest of my builds, an old Mustang I never finished, a half-stripped Harley I'd rebuilt twice. He looked around, nodded again and said, You're wasted in someone else's garage. Let's build you your own. I thought he was joking. But he wasn't. By the next month, we had a plan. Logan had the connections and the space. I had the hands, the eye, and the reputation. We gutted an old tire shop, painted it, brought in new lifts, cleared out room for a dyno bay. And by the end of the year, we opened our doors. My name on the wall. My rules. My tools. That first engine we tuned belonged to a customer who left my old shop because, quote, they don't give a damn anymore. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. But I did put a little extra into that rebuild. Because that engine? It was louder than any revenge speech I could have made. And the best part? I didn't have to say a word. Words spread fast, faster than I thought it would. First it was just a couple old clients who tracked me down through mutual friends, then a guy I hadn't seen in years showed up with his Charger asking if we still did full engine rebuilds. Then it was 5 cars. Then 10. By the time spring rolled around, we were booked out 3 months in advance. Logan handled the business side, I focused on the shop floor. And for the first time in a long damn while, I didn't feel like I was punching a clock for someone else's payday. I was building something of my own. Then came the phone call. It was late afternoon, I had just pulled off my gloves when I saw the number. I didn't recognize it at first, but when I picked up, the voice on the other end made my jaw lock. It was my old supervisor's assistant, Mark. He danced around it at first. "Hey Mike, how've you been? Just checking in. Heard you were doing some cool stuff on your own." But I cut through it. "You calling because your shop's bleeding customers?" He paused. "Something like that." Turns out the new hires didn't cut it. Den kept screwing up the high-end rebuilds, missing torque specs, misaligning cams. They lost 2 key contracts, and were falling behind on promised delivery dates. Customers were pissed. A few even mentioned my name when they left. "We're just wondering," Mark said, "if you'd ever consider consulting? Maybe even coming back in some senior role?" I laughed. Loud. Not out of spite, okay, maybe a little, but mostly because I'd never heard desperation so cleanly wrapped in corporate language. "I'm good, Mark. Got my own shop now. My name's on the sign. You should stop by sometime. You'll hear it before you see it." And I hung up. The silence after was sweet. That night, I locked up the shop myself. Walked out slow, looking at the lights glowing through the windows, the freshly polished tools on the walls, the smell of metal and rubber and paint still hanging in the air. I had lost a job, yeah? But I found something better. I found the reason I started doing this in the first place. And no one, not a spreadsheet, not a budget cut, not a guy with a fake resume and family connections, was ever gonna take it from me again. I worked my ass off at that plant for 6 years. 6 years. Started out cleaning up scraps off the floor, ended up running 2 crews and training new hires. Everyone knew me. Everyone came to me when shit hit the fan. And yeah, I liked the work. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. I was damn good at it. So when my supervisor pulled me aside in early March and told me I was next in line to move into management, I wasn't even surprised. I'd been doing half the job already. It was supposed to be official after 90 days, just hang tight, train the next guy under me, then move up. Easy. That's when they brought in him. Den fresh face, slick smile, fake humility. Said he had 5 years experience in operations. I skimmed his resume and something didn't sit right, but hey, not my call. I was told to train him. Get him up to speed. So I did. Day 1, I show him how we handle scheduling, deliveries, problem crews, conflict. He nods, smiles, takes notes. Day 2, he's already offering suggestions. Day 3, he's walking into meetings like he's been there forever. Week 2, he's doing my job, asterisk in front of me star. My name's still on the paperwork, but every time something gets screwed up, it's my ass getting chewed. He messes up a delivery? I should have double-checked it. He calls off a crew by accident? I failed to communicate properly. I tried to bring it up once, privately, with my boss. Just said, "Hey, not sure Den's fully up to speed yet, we had some confusion." You know what he said? "Be patient. He's gonna be your right-hand guy soon." My right-hand guy. He was already acting like my boss. Couple more weeks go by. He starts getting real chummy with upper management. Like dinner invites, golf photos on Instagram kind of chummy. That's when I found out, Den's engaged to the daughter of one of the execs. Boom. Everything clicked. His resume, the fast track, the sudden golden boy treatment. It wasn't about experience. It was about connections. Meanwhile, I'm still showing up at 5:30 every morning, covering shifts when guys call out, working double just to keep numbers good. And still, somehow, every little fuck-up lands on me. Then came the final straw, inventory audit. Some miscount happened in Den's section, but guess who got written up for it? Me. Official write-up. Just enough to make my promotion. Temporarily postponed. That night, I went home and told my girlfriend I was done. Not with the job, not yet, but I was gonna start looking. Because something broke in me that day. 6 years, and they'd throw me under the bus the second some silver spoon kid walked through the door. But here's the twist, next morning, I get a call. A guy I used to work with years ago, now at a competitor. He heard I was having a rough time, and said, "You ever think about jumping ship? We could use someone like you." And just like that, my world cracked open. Maybe Dan took my job, but he didn't take my worth. And for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe again. I should have seen it coming the moment Dan showed up with that smug-ass smile and a folder too clean to be real. He was younger, maybe mid-20s, looked like he just walked out of a business school lad. Said he had prior field management experience and logistics coordination background. HR was hyping him up like he was gonna save the department. But I looked at his hands. Smooth. No calluses. No scars. No way this guy had ever touched a pallet jack, let alone coordinated 60-hour production weeks. Still, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Showed him around. Let him shadow me. He was supposed to be under me for 90 days before I moved up. That was the plan. Everyone knew it. And Dan? Dan was just here to learn. That's what they told me. First week, things seemed fine. He asked questions. Took notes. Watched me run meetings. Cool. But then I started noticing weird shifts. He began emailing vendors directly, on threads I started. He started staying late after I left, and holding quick chats with management. I'd come in the next morning and find some of my calls or requests already handled, with his name stamped on them. Then came the first fire drill. A shipment was delayed because someone forgot to schedule the dock clearance on Thursday. I checked my logs. I'd flagged that issue. Twice. But Dan had marked it resolved in the system. Guess who got pulled into the office? Alex, what's going on here? I tried to explain. Even showed my email trail. But Dan sat there quiet as hell, like some little corporate monk, and the manager just nodded along like I was overreacting. We need better communication, he said. No shit. The next week, we missed the quality check because some new guy Dan hired skipped calibration. Again, it looped back to me. Again, Dan sat there like he was just shocked this could happen. I pulled him aside afterward. Told him we needed to align. His reply? I just assumed you had it covered. That smug little tone. That fake concern. I wanted to slam a clipboard through the break room wall. I started seeing the setup. He was playing the long game. Make me look messy. Make him look like the fixer. And the cherry on top? At the monthly meeting, our senior manager made a comment like, "It's nice to see fresh energy stepping up where it's needed." Staring right at Dan. I felt sick. I bled for this place. Took extra shifts. Trained half the damn team. Ate shit from clients. And now, because this kid had a clean haircut and a connection with upper management's daughter, I was being painted like dead weight. I went home that night, cracked a beer, and just stared at the wall. I wasn't even mad anymore. I was tired. Tired of being the guy who keeps the wheels turning but gets no credit when they run smooth, and all the blame when they slip. I don't remember the last time I felt that angry. Like truly boiling, fist clenched, jaw tight kind of angry, the kind that makes your whole body feel like it's buzzing with static, like if someone even breathed wrong next to me I'd snap. And that's exactly how I felt walking out of that goddamn office after getting a formal warning for leadership lapses. That weren't even mine, not even close, and I knew. It was all because of Dan, the golden boy with a polished smile and a fake ass. Resume, who'd been in my shadow for barely a week before he started whispering into the right ears, throwing around terms he barely understood, and somehow flipping every mistake he made into a problem I didn't manage properly. And it worked, because he had them behind him, the kind of connections that don't get written on paper but move mountains in the background. And suddenly I was the one being called inconsistent, while he was praised for stepping up. And I swear, when I left that meeting, I didn't even go back to my desk. I just walked, past the break room, past the shop floor, past Dan's smug nod like we were still teammates, and straight out the front door, because if I stayed one more minute I'd do something I couldn't take back. And then, while I was sitting in my car in that same goddamn lot, trying to calm down, my phone rang. And I almost didn't answer because who the hell calls at 3:40 in the afternoon? But I did, and it was Ryan, from Steel Point, one of our biggest competitors, and he goes, "Hey Alex, I heard you might be looking around." And I swear I almost laughed because I hadn't even told anyone yet, but he said they'd been watching my projects, knew my work ethic, and wanted to talk about bringing me on board, maybe even leading a new crew, better pay, more freedom, none of the internal politics. And I didn't even ask how he knew, I just said, "When can we meet?" And he said, "Tomorrow morning?" And I said, "I'll be there." It's been just over a year since I walked out of that office for the last time, and I still remember the look on Dan's face when I left without saying a word. Just a smirk, like he thought he won. Like I'd vanished quietly. But I didn't. I took the job offer from RCM Industrial the next morning. Their recruiter had called me while I was sitting in my truck, still cooling off from the final straw. Apparently, they'd had their eye on me for months. Said they'd heard good things about my leadership, my system for rotating team shifts, my ability to manage complex orders on tight deadlines. I guess word travels, even across competition lines. My first month there felt like rehab, like I was detoxing from months of trying to prove myself in a place that was never gonna let me win. The pace was fast, expectations were high, but the respect? Immediate. I wasn't babysitting anyone. I wasn't covering for some idiot with fake credentials and family ties. Within 6 months, I was promoted. 3 crews under me. 2 major clients handed off directly. Turns out, one of them used to be with my old company, but they bailed after missed deadlines and poor quality. I didn't ask questions. I just made sure we delivered. No drama. Just work. And then one day, I saw a familiar name pop up on an internal request. A resume. Dan. He applied to our field supervisor opening. Same dude who slid into my spot. I stared at the screen for a long time. HR had flagged it because of his previous connection to me. They asked if I had any insight. I told them the truth. He wasn't cut out for field leadership. Too much ego, not enough follow-through. They thanked me and moved on. 2 weeks later, I got a LinkedIn message from him. "Hey, heard you're at RCM now. Any chance they're hiring?" I didn't reply. Not out of spite. Just didn't see the point. I'd spent too long carrying other people's weight. Now I carry my own and I build others up who earn it. I bought a house last month. Smaller than what I could afford, but it's mine. No drama. No hidden costs. Just peace. Sometimes I still think about what happened, how unfair it was. But then I remind myself, none of that stopped me. It just forced me to move. And moving saved me. People talk about karma like it's some cosmic thing. But sometimes karma's just you working hard, keeping your head up, and watching the people who play dirty dig their own graves while you build something better on solid ground. Subscribe, hit the like button, and explore more fascinating stories.